Welcome to the Spiritual Sweet Spot, a place where you can rejuvenate your soul. Hosted by author M.B. Moses. This is a safe space for all.
Welcome back. I'm excited to start talking about part 5. We are continuing on our series, Unleashing Limited Beliefs for Manifesting Mastery. I'm excited to say that this is the last part of the series. Building Empowering Beliefs is part 5. Hope that this podcast finds you and your family doing well. Sending love and light to you all the way from Missouri, where it's currently 16 degrees. Part 5 is talking about building empowering beliefs. If this is your first time to the podcast, welcome. You do not have to listen to these parts in any organization. You could just simply start listening from part 5. For those of you that have come back for part 5, welcome back. I thank you all so much for continuing to download the Decoding Dreams podcast episodes. I appreciate you deeply. Let's get ready to talk about part 5, building empowering beliefs. Building empowering beliefs is a process that requires self-reflection. Put a pin in that. Awareness. Put another pin in that. And a conscious effort to reframe your mindset. Let's talk about some steps that can help us build empowering beliefs. So now let's talk about, we're about to talk about some steps that can help us build empowering beliefs, but we have put 3 pins upright. What does self-reflection look like to you? Now, understanding that self-reflection can be very uncomfortable if you are immersing yourself into it for the first time or really truly trying to seek who you are as a person. And self-reflection also echoes awareness, right? I always say to be self-aware, to have self-reflection is to be self-aware. That's what I always say. To be aware is always to have self-reflection. And both of these two things could be so real in the realm of making the conscious effort to reframe your mindset. So the first step up, we want to talk about identifying your current beliefs. I feel that in order to identify your current beliefs, you have to have self-reflection, awareness, and a conscious effort as well. So I want us to understand where all of this equation is going, right? So identifying our current beliefs. Take some time to reflect on your current beliefs about yourself, others, and the world around you. Do you notice any negative or limiting beliefs that may be holding you back? So most times I feel like I've lived so many lives already in this current life. And I remember a time in part due to the familial ecosystem I was raised in. After a certain age, when things were trying to get better for us, we started going to church. I became religious. And I think I became so religious because for the first time in my teenhood, after a tumultuous childhood, I started to feel some semblance or sense of peace within the home. So I gravitated to this thing they call religion. I believed in a system that I felt was bringing some sort of peace. It wasn't ultimate peace, but there was no longer physical fighting. So whatever this mystique was, it's something that I gravitated to and held on to and got deeply engrossed in. The older I became and grew, I started to question a lot of things as it pertains to the doctrines of Christianity, specifically where I was in my life. I had so many questions and I could get answers. And that also then helped me evolve. The evolving part to who I am today was morphed from the first foundation of having such. As a Christian person, I used to have these intense beliefs. No one could sway me. I was self-righteous. Everyone else that didn't go to church or wasn't born again was a heathen. I was one of them. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so therefore, you couldn't talk to me because I was self-righteous. I stood on a hill by myself and looked down on people because they were not saved. They were not going to heaven. I was super saved, sanctified, and holier than thou. And that's who I existed in. And by all due respect, this type of person was developed after so many years of being within the indoctrination of the religious sector. What does that mean? So each and every time that I went to church, and when I was by myself, as I became the adult, and as I took ownership of my, air quotes, salvation, I was morphing into this thing. And at one point in time, all these events don't just happen overnight, but it happened. My evolving started to morph. I didn't like who I was. It started to seem self-righteous, so pretentious, because it's like, here it was. I was casting judgment. I'm talking about brutal judgment upon people I didn't even know. Listen, I used to be I was that type of person where if you cursed, if you did this, if you did that wasn't in the Bible, you're a sinner, and you're going to the pits of hell. That was me. Like, I'm so embarrassed to even talk about it, but that was me. And I did not like those beliefs. There was an awakening that was happening within my soul to realize that I was being self-righteous. I didn't like who I was. And I started to gravitate to that awakening because then I had so many other questions. Like, could all these people really be going to hell? Like, wait a minute. Some people are born into a realm. What if you're born into a realm where you don't have that principle, but you're absolutely a good person? You live your life as a good person. You do your life as a good person. So my heart started being so freaking torn. And the gradual pull from the foundation of religion started to percolate within my soul. I started to have self-reflection, but even as a Christian, towards that evolving stage, I would say, God, can you please show me? Never allow me to present myself into this world as a person that I cannot see first. And that was the hardest ask I would have ever had to ask, because my spiritual eyes into a whole different evolution were morphing. I started to see who I was and who I was becoming, and I didn't like that person. I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't like the fact that I was prejudging people that I never sat down to talk to. I didn't like the fact that I had a belief system that was forcing me to choose. If I'm saved, then don't talk to those people because they're not saved. I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I had so many questions with less answers. Now, I was later on in life, as the Christian that I used to be, I still believe in some of the stories from what I now consider the ancient book of wisdom, which is what is known as the Bible. But I realized that at that moment, as I evolved, and as I ripped myself away from societal, world, churchly views, I started to realize I became free. I became free in my mind thoughts. I owned my mind. I didn't have to think like the masses, because once again, who am I to judge people based upon what they do or don't do? And that's where I had the hardest time. Between you and I, let's have this intimate conversation. I personally had the hardest time where it's like, because it's like weird. It's like, no, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? Okay, so I'm saved, so I got the Holy Ghost, so Holy Spirit, like the church would say. But the whole indoctrination about don't talk to people that are unsaved, be evenly yoked, and all this other stuff, it was just weird. It was weird because as a person, I think I wanted to appreciate people for who they are. Because I believe that good people are found within every single type of background or belief or whatever it is that people gravitate to. But from that moment on, what Spirit started teaching me was that I did not want to feel strongly about anything, because my past self in that life would find myself. Yes, I was one of those on social media, caping for the windmilling for the religion, going back and forth, getting people raising my blood pressure. I mean, I was like, I don't want to live that life. I don't want to live that life. I want to live free within myself, free within my thought process, free within who I am, free within who I'm supposed to be, without any limitations and without seeing people without preconceiving what people should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing. And so I challenged myself. I started to unpack a lot. It wasn't an easy transition because this is something that I had known at a certain, some years. But I had to make that evolution because the more I became self-aware, the more my conscious, rational mind started to have me see the world differently. I enjoy the space that I'm in. I'm lapsed from any belief system. I love how I navigate my life today. Understanding that good people are found within every background, bad people are found within every background, and understanding that I want to get to know people from who they are, not what other people think they are or what category they should be put in. So take some time to reflect on yourself. What is some of the beliefs about yourself or others and or the world around you that is either negative or limiting? And the other thing I remember, this was some of the things that I was uncomfortable with, because even from a younger age, I used to always say, I'm born to be a multimillionaire / hey, hello, billionaires. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down, but my trajectory in life. And then when I was in this embodiment of this indoctrination, it's like, we don't talk about money. Money is the root of all evil. So I had so many, among a lot of things, it was so much conflict. But here it is, free, and I'm free to have my manifestation, to know that I can have whatever I want because I create the life and the reality that I live in, has been more than the most freeing thing for myself. The most freeing thing, I tell you what, I've attained and amassed so much more positively, so much more, but I just appreciate that evolution. That's just me. So what are some of the things that you have noticed worldwide about yourself or others that may have negative or limiting beliefs that may be holding you back? I tell you what, the most freeing thing I ever did for myself, among the other things, was telling myself, because I had to keep reminding myself that I don't feel strongly about anything. No, I don't. Absolutely, I don't. I've had people try to challenge me. I don't, because I realize it's at the junction where when we feel so strongly about something that you give it 5-10 years, things change. Things are continually changing. And I realized that I'm an evolving being here in this earth realm, and that the way I feel about certain things today versus 20 years ago, very different. Versus 10 years ago, very different. So I said, I don't want to live in a realm of feeling strongly about anything. And the other thing is, it takes, for me personally, everyone to each its own, but it takes away such a heavy burden of staying and dying on a hill that you're not even sure about. So I live in that realm. Now, I always say that I could be easily swayed. I'm a rational person. I'll hear things out. I'll say, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I see that. But I'm not going to sit here and just feel strongly. Because here's the other thing. I think some of my evolution is definitely coming as well from unpacking the beliefs that used to hold me back, which were the fact that I grew up in a household with a parent that believed so strongly in certain things that it was their way or no way. Once again, what that also morphed into was, let's say, I want to be an actress. And the parent would say, well, so-and-so's daughter is a registered nurse. You should be a registered nurse. And then let's say I want to fight for my dreams and say, well, no, I think I just want to be an actress. I don't want to be in the healthcare industry. And then they'll say they would adamantly stand on that hill, but they themselves have never been a registered nurse and they're willing to die on that hill. So I don't want to feel strongly about stuff because it always morphs to critical judgment, critical stuff that, and it becomes too deep, like really, really. So I want to stand in the realms of being open-minded, receptive, understanding, and I still do stand on whether something like, look, I'm not just going to co-sign on anything. Like, just because I don't feel strongly about anything doesn't mean that nonsense will be thrown my way and I'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever. No, it's like, nah, not for me. Right. But I'm just not standing strongly, especially with social media. People fight battles that are not even theirs. So let's continue talking about part 5, building empowering beliefs. Question the validity of your beliefs. Once again, here comes that word. We talked about it in the last part. Challenge your existing beliefs and question whether they are based on facts or assumptions. Look for evidence that supports or contradicts your beliefs. Often you will find that many of your beliefs are not absolute truths. And we could stick to the example that I started with. I could go first and then you could go second. But so here's the thing. When I was within the indoctrination of religion, as a single, successful young lady, the establishment wanted me to be married to a certain person. They thought that was fit. I've always had a little rebellious spirit in me, y'all. I think I've said that before because it's like, I'm glad the spirit has always like shown up at the perfect time and that I wasn't this sheep where I was like, okay, we could get married. I see it. Because this individual also attended the church. But let me tell you something. I knew this individual before. And when I started to really be so committed and dedicated, I was trying to wean off that alcoholism that I talked about in the last podcast. So I knew, thank goodness the Spirit, I knew that I needed to live my life with a partner who did not drink, who did not have any substance issues. Because the last time when I was on my sobriety journey, from the last podcast to rehash, when I came out of my outpatient rehab, I aligned myself with the person and the person was the wrong person and I ended up relapsing for the worse. So the most important thing for me in my life that I knew about myself was sobriety. So here it was in a church, in an indoctrination, in this religion where they're saying you have to be evenly yoked. And evenly yoked to them this is where I had the quandary. I had so many freaking questions. So here's the thing. Evenly yoked is like, the way they looked at it was like, you, this age, here goes this guy, similar age, he comes to church. But what you have to understand is you're the only person that knows yourself and you need to advocate for yourself and fight for yourself. It doesn't matter where you're at and how the organization looks. Life has taught me so much more about advocating for what is right for yourself. So here's the thing. And what I was in a quandary about was already religion, the whole indoctrination part of it and stuff like that. But at the same token, and also as we are on this, You're the only person that knows yourself. Remember that. That's what I'm telling you. You need to advocate for yourself in every stand. And this information that I'm divulging may resonate with someone right now. Perhaps it's not religion. Perhaps it's a family system that's saying you have to partner up with someone in your culture. Perhaps it's, your family, right? That's saying, look, this is your neighborhood best friend. You guys grew up together. You guys need to get together. But listen to this part right here, right? Listen to this T. So they wanted me to line myself up with this person that I knew, who I used to party with heavy. Drink with heavy. Okay, so just because we show up on Sunday to church and he plays, is a musician in the church and you see him every Sunday, he had problems too. So I'm so glad I wasn't a sheep to where I would just gravitate to what people said, like, okay, it sounds like a good fit. We're both in the church. That makes us compatible. The heck it does not. You setting me up for failure, right? Obviously, I couldn't be like, hey, the person you're talking about is also struggling out here. He drinks heavy. He's heavy on the alcohol. He's heavy on the party scenario. And for me at that time, I was trying to separate myself from such activity in the name of sobriety. So my sobriety mattered the most. I knew myself. They didn't. They knew the version of me that showed up on Sunday, just like they knew the version of this man that showed up on Sunday. And catch this, right? So at that time, I met my husband. They didn't like my husband. Then further confirmation of a lot of things started morphing and percolating because I did not meet my husband in the church. And so it was this whole thing. Now, listen, my husband had been raised in the church and etc. Listen, I think we're getting into some good conversation right now because listen, if you're out here single, gravitate to this. This might be for you too. If you're out here perplexed or confused or trying to figure out how you can satisfy your family demands and what you want and all this, listen to this. So here's the thing. So they didn't like my husband because they said that he was unchurched, right? But I've always gravitated, once again, from some of you that have been following through this series and on my podcast, I've always had that knowing within me. It's not like evident all the time, guys, but it's something that I hold on to that's a strong, positive knowing. Like I know this is the right decision for me. Not always the time, but in certain moments of my life, pivotal moments of my life. So here it was. Here I was 30, he was 35. I met my husband. The things that mattered to me, the things that I required were simple. I needed somebody to come into my life. I was established from the time that I was 20. I'd been doing successfully well for myself. I bought my first house the year that I was turning 25. So I was technically 24 because I moved in June. My birthday's in November. And it was built. It was my dream house. I still have my manifestation book from that. But even at that age, I didn't know I couldn't articulate manifestation. But everything that I drew in the book and everything about that house, I had. And so I built my first house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a basement. When I was 24 going on 25, I just had been excelling and doing really well in life. And so I knew from a very young age that I would probably meet people, that I had to be reasonable around, meaning that whoever I was going to meet, I required them in my mind. And at that time, because I had navigated life without children and I wanted to live a life child-free. So my requirements were that he has to have no children. My requirements were that at that time it was past 25, live in the house, out of the house. But at that time I had managed to provide for myself. I had managed to do okay for myself and all this other good stuff. So he had to come like that too, right? Because listen, if you're single out here and you don't have any requirements in your mind, you better, maybe 2024, you better start journaling and getting it together. Because sometimes I realize if you're single, you don't have requirements or standards, then you're just really navigating a sea of emptiness. And the first thing that comes your way, you gravitate to. And then some people wonder why their life is going downhill, right? So here's the thing. So I already had these requirements, but my requirements are not like he has to be saved and a holier than thou and all this other stuff. He had to be a decent person. He had to be sober, no substance, no alcohol, nothing. He had to be a provider of his own. He had to come with his own. I had my own and blah, 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 blah. So here it is. I meet the guy that checks the boxes. These people are not happy for me because they're like, he's not in church. What are you doing, sis? And to me, growing up in the church, I saw miserable women. I saw women whose deacon husbands were cheating on them. I saw women whose deacon husbands were beating on them, coming to church with black eyes. So it was so hypocritical. So the dynamic, that's the other thing, became, I had so many questions. So the dynamic became hypocritical. Like, okay, so be evenly yoked, marry somebody in the church and get beat. Wait. Be evenly yoked, marry somebody in the church and they're an alcoholic. Wait. How does this, the math was not mathing. You have to be the advocate for yourself. I don't care what dynamic you're in. Trust and believe you're much more freer and happier when you advocate for yourself, regardless of who is in your ear, regardless, parent, sister, brother, culture, world, church, whatever. So here it was. And so that was the other thing, right? But then I had lived that experience. I don't know why I'm whispering, but I had lived that experience where they wanted me to, air quotes, be evenly yoked with this musician dude. And plus he was chasing skirts. So that was the other part of me, was I needed a good, decent man. I did not want to relive the childhood life of my parents. I resented their life. I didn't want this negative vortex of being disrespected. That's the other thing. He had to come with respect for me. I respect for him as well. Love for me. So I didn't want that. And that's the other thing. If y'all been listening to these podcasts, we're going to carry on, but I just want to end this part 5 with a banger. Because then for my single people, it doesn't matter what people say about you and your life. If you know what you know and you want what you want, you go and get what you want. It's out there. People told me the older I grew, oh, it's going to be hard to find somebody with no kids. Everyone has kids. It's going to be hard to do this. It's hard to find people that don't drink. It's hard to find people that don't do substance activity. I rejected that for my life. I stood now that hill I stood on. Now that hill was non-negotiable. You know why it was non-negotiable? Because my life mattered. I wasn't living in a sober life just to throw it away again. I had experienced the relapse that almost took my life. So what in the whole entire nation will I look like caving into this? The math was not mathing. That's all I'm going to say. The math was not mathing because I had been already caked into this hypocritical foundation indoctrination of a religious, whatever it is, structure where people want to push people in the name of being evenly yoked in God. But these same people, they don't live in your house. So what it was, this is how I saw life for what it was. They would have wanted me to marry this musician in the church. Me and him would have got married out of relapse because he can't stop drinking, even up to now as we talk. And then so out of relapse in that house, and where would they be at? The people that pushed that movement, where would they be at? Nowhere to be found, because I saw it all play out. I saw these people in the church. I saw these relationships in the church. I'm sorry, I'm not that fake. Like, I can't do that. So I had to gravitate to what was going to be healthy for memory, what was a good decision for memory, even if it meant tearing down beliefs that I had seen and used within a season. Because trust and believe, things do happen for a season, right? And so there it was, right? Picked what I picked, that I knew for my requirements. Because my life mattered. I didn't want to die. And 10 years later, we're here, happy. I stood on my heel. My husband had no children. I had no children. He's a great provider. He's a great protector. He has the stability I looked for. Some of you have known from my earlier podcasts, I stayed at home by option. I was a housewife taken care of by my husband. So, I mean, listen, these things are not too far-fetched if you're single. I've started off saying I chose not to feel strongly about a lot of beliefs. Let's get that together. But as it pertains to things that pertain to your life and you know where you're going, don't do it. Because what is so sad to me is when people do what other people want and then they end up miserable and now they're looking around and the same people can't be found anywhere. So don't do that. Stick to yourself. Stick to your guns, no matter what it is. Sometimes it's just not church. It's a group of people. You could feel the pressure. Perhaps it's your siblings. They're all married and they're like, when you're going to get married? And maybe you don't want to get married. So don't get married. Because then if you force yourself to get married because they say get married and then now you're miserable and you're looking at yourself like, I knew I should have never gotten married. Perhaps it's somebody out there as well that's desiring a partner that lines up and mashes up with their dreams and goals or whatever aspirations that looks like. And people are telling you, like they told me, the older I was going, the older I was getting, it was going to be impossible, they say impossible, to find a partner who would have been child free. And now I'm looking at them like, really? So sometimes it pays to bet on yourself 100%. So we moving along. So we talked about questioning the validity of your beliefs. Challenge the existence. I had to challenge him, child. I was like, listen, Linda, listen. I'm sitting up here because I was in the background of the church. I was in the forefront of the church. I was heavy in the ministry. I was right there with the pastor's wife, everything. I was in there in the trenches. So I saw this. And you want me to live this life? No, thank you. Sometimes you just have to say, no, thank you. No, thank you. I tell you what, I betted on myself and made the best decision ever. I have no, soaked pillows. I ain't sleeping at night wondering where my husband's at, who he with, what he doing. Ever since I met this man, he's had nothing but respect for me, I for him, because it was very important in me. It was very important to me as well in life. I've always felt like life has been one of my biggest teachers. It was really, really important as well for me not to duplicate the chaos, mayhem, and toxicity that I had seen my parents in their marriage. Like people just hurling insulting comments about each other, yelling at each other, fighting, physically fighting. I had seen the ramifications of substance abuse within the home between man and woman. I had seen that first row seat. I had experienced that as a recovered alcoholic, the relationships that I tore down, because I was in a very low vibrational state. And when I say I was the meanest drunk, I'm still making amends for that. So there was no way I would have ever fostered a healthy relationship within that state. And it's a state I don't ever want to go back to. So choose wisely, bet on yourself, advocate for yourself, no matter what it looks like, no matter what people say, because at the end of the day, you're living your life by yourself. Them people will ghost you. You looking around like, wait a minute, they told me, wait a minute, they say this, wait a minute, where they at? Nowhere to be found. So let's keep moving along. Part 5. I'm really having a good time wrapping up part 5. And we're talking about building empowering beliefs. Choose empowering beliefs. Once you've identified the limiting beliefs, consciously choose empowering beliefs that better support your goals and aspirations. For example, if you have a belief that you're not worthy of success, or if you've been raised on such, Money's the root of all evil. The heck you say? Show me the money. I'll show you what to do. Money is energy resource. Okay. Let's unpack and unlearn some things. So, anywhoosies. So, for example, if you have the belief that you are not worthy of success, choose an empowering belief that affirms your worthiness and potential. Y'all, we've been talking about these limiting beliefs, and y'all heard at the top of one of the parts where it was hard for me to gravitate and really see myself as well as being worthy of goodness. Because when you have been in this, remember, I'm the most negative person I've ever met in my life. So when you come from those destructive thoughts and patterns, and you are unpacking and trying to really gravitate to positivity, sometimes I could try to sneak back in, because we get comfortable where we get comfortable with. But I have to understand that everything is good. Everything always works out for my good. Everything happens for my good, right? So affirmations, choose empowering belief that affirms your worthiness and potential. Even for those that are single, we're at the top of the year, honey. You might find your little bae. You know what I'm saying? So please, I urge you, single people. I think I've spoken about this on one of my episodes, but it is a deep plea. Only because sometimes we don't understand, especially in the spiritual realm, that the energies that attach themselves to us can either come to be destructive or constructive. And you're the only person that knows where you are. So whoever you bring in your life, you have allowed said energy to be within your energy sphere. So choose carefully. Is it constructive? Is it destructive? Because most of us know these stories where you meet people that are excelling in life, doing amazing, and then they pair up with this low vibrational energy pool. Next thing we know, just downhill. So guard yourself accordingly. All right, so we're moving right along. We are talking about part 5, our season finale of Unleashing Limited Beliefs for Manifesting Mastery. So excited about this series. I'm so excited about 2024. Super excited. Because remember, this is our year of growth and expansion, right? All right, so moving right along, building empowering beliefs. We have spoken about this, but these I stand on. They're so powerful. Repeat positive affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that reinforce empowering beliefs. Repeat affirmations that reflect your desired beliefs regularly. For example, if you're striving for success, you can say, I am capable of achieving great success in my life. I am capable of achieving great success in my life. I am capable of achieving great success in my life. Understanding that when we're saying these affirmations, it's just not a verbiage, but actually taking these words into heart, embedding them into your soul, making them tangible, real. That's a part of manifesting mastery. Feeling it, knowing that it's real, tasting it. I am capable of achieving great success in my life, seeing it. Seeing it in your mind, seeing it on your vision board. What does that look like to you? Because success differs and ranges for everyone, depending if that's what one of your affirmations are. Moving right along, surround yourself with positive influences if you can. If you can. And if you can't, limit your exposure to negativity. I'm just choosing to walk away. I'm over the low vibrational negative, because people will try to bait you and get you into all of that. I just choose to walk away and mind my business. I really have lived in the realm of unbotheredness. I don't give two F's what you end up thinking about me when I walk away. Say what you want to say, because what happens with negative people and negative low vibrational beings, if you're not in their circle, then you become the problem. Go ahead. Speak about me at your own expense. I don't care. I'm doing fine. Sometimes we need people to speak about us. You know what I'm saying? I will guard my peace at all costs. So surround yourself with positive influences. Surround yourself with people who support your growth and share similar empowering beliefs. Engage in activities and consume content that aligns with your new empowering beliefs. This will help reinforce and solidify them. Okay. I mean, listen, it took time once again, because I like to always give that backstory, because I don't want people to think, oh, I just woke up like this, flawless. I'm just kidding. But it will take time. But remember the last podcast, we're talking about taking baby steps. So I started to intentionally, that's the word, intentionally, purposefully, make sure that an hour before bed, I don't see, consume, or look at anything negative. I like to listen to different musical frequencies as I go to sleep. If I'm not listening to Louis Hay, affirmations before bedtime, I like to also wake up to something positive. So it's either some audiobooks, some free stuff on YouTube for the day, motivational videos on going out there to grind, hustle, getting your day started, something that'll amp me up before I even go anywhere else. Over the course of the development of social media, realizing who I am and my pattern, because listen, I'm not one of those people that could have social media apps on my phone and be like, well, it's just there. I don't have to click on it. No. I have to take them off. But that kind of method has helped me out a lot. And what I mean by that is back in the day, super back in the day, like when Facebook and all that came out and we're able to have apps on our phone, I would scroll endlessly until I realized that I had to delete the app off my phone. And when I started to delete the app off my phone and challenge myself I've gone for a year. I've gone for quick months not being on social media because I've deleted the apps. I find that I'm more productive, right? And not only that, I love being detached from the woes and dramas of the world. And not only that, I realized that by the time that I put the app back on, I don't even go to the app because my habit has already been formed to where I'm used to the app not being on my phone. And so therefore, I'm not scrolling as much. Now, TikTok, shout out to my TikTok people. We opened a shop on TikTok. Well, how am I going to open a shop and not scroll? Come on now. I'm only human. Hello. So there it was. I was like, dang, TikTok but at the same token, I have to also understand my business page is my business page, right? We don't want to confuse my algorithm. Like, girl, what are you looking at all this stuff for? So then here I was, created a personal TikTok account, but it's still the same feel because I still have the same experiences from before. I'll scroll, but I won't stay and scroll forever because I have hit these moments aggressively in my life where I've been off of social media for so many moments in time that I really don't depend on being on social media every day if I'm not like kind of posting a video or something like that. So what is it for you? How will you surround yourself with positive influences? Right? Like, listen, the reality of the life in my life, I don't have a sphere of positive influences, right? I'm not here like with 10. I mean, listen, in real life, I would love that. Like a whole group of 10 people, right? And I'm not saying that my friends are not positive, but people are people. So my husband, but he's a positive influence, always supporting me in all my endeavors, always cheering me on, and so that one is good. Sometimes that one person is good. And then I have friends that I've had for years. They're stuck in their ways. They're who they are, but we all know what we could do, minimize interaction and keep it moving if you can, so that you're not part of it. The most challenging part I would also consider is the job, right? I mean, but if you can identify within your work circle the low vibrational negative people, then you can identify on how to navigate around them. It might take time, and sometimes it's hard when you're new and you're trying to really understand the people at the place. But I realized I had to remove myself. It happened not too long ago because I'm like, I don't want to get pulled into stuff. I don't care. I'm unbothered. I want to show up. I want to show up for my patients. I want to show up for what I love. The most positive influences at this place is my boss, my lead, and a few people. But I know already in the office space, if it's so-and-so and they're engaging in their gossip routine, I just go to the break room to make some coffee and stay there. Go find some modules to do and stay there. So it's not easy because I know that we live in a world where people want to be liked and think about what people would say, but I guess it's just age for me. I care less. I could care less. I don't. They don't pay my check. They don't sign my check. I don't care if they're like, did you see her? She's not participating in this gossip, but what's wrong with her? She's not talking. I don't care. I'm really at that unbotheredness of I don't care. As long as I'm not being in there. I don't want to co-sign to nonsense in 2024. I just don't. And beyond. I don't. And so let's continue. We are on our last part. We're building empowering beliefs. All right. So take action consistent with your chosen beliefs. Act in alignment with your empowering beliefs. Is it easy? No. Is it hard? No. It's about building those little baby steps, finding something that's sustainable, preserving yourself. And also this comes with self-awareness that gives you a conscious and clear vision of your mindset and also helps you kind of scope out dynamics and understand. Take small steps towards your goals and recognize your successes along the way. Taking action builds momentum and reinforces your belief in your capabilities. Remember, building empowering beliefs is an ongoing practice. It requires patience, perseverance, and self-compassion. Embrace the process of self-growth and celebrate your progress as you develop a more empowering mindset. It has been so awesome talking about unleashing limited beliefs for manifesting mastery. This is the season finale. This was it. I hope that it's resonated with some, and I hope that it's helping others. And here's the thing. This is muy importante. It's important just in the realms of if you're seeking to also manifest, or if you're questioning yourself, feeling like, hey, I've been manifesting or trying to manifest, or I've been scripting, I've been doing this. What are the blocks? What is the blockage looking like? Like what we feel like something is just stuck somewhere. So perhaps we could revisit these limiting beliefs, kind of see what resonates with you, what doesn't, what's beneficial for you. It has been fun. I'm so excited for 2024, y'all. My day ones are like, girl, you always say you're excited every time. I am. And so here's the thing. Oh, by the way, mbmosley.com, 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 MOSLEY, mbmosley.com is interactive now. You can make purchases of some journals there. They're super discounted from our other platforms that we sell at. I'm excited about that. So remember last podcast, I talked about how I was excited. The sobriety journal is live. It's live on Amazon. I have a few copies that I'm selling off that website as well. So here it is, 2024. I'm so excited for 2024. I know that things will work the way that you have planned for them to work. I need you to believe in yourself and understand that you are more than capable of making these things work. In 2024, give the spirit of unbotheredness. Out on people. Do not let anybody work your nerves. Don't let anybody tap dance on your nerves. Live in the realm of being unbothered, yes, but yet being very self-aware of who you are and how you represent yourself and what your beliefs are. Don't let anybody take you out of pocket. Don't let anybody take you out of character. ever, because they will be baiters. This is the realm that we live in, where there is positivity and negativity. They coexist, the yin and the yang. But you are the person that controls how you feel and how it has made you feel. I'm so excited for this podcast. I'm so excited to break down some more things for 2024. I have said everything that I've said, especially in the realms of manifesting, because I've seen how manifesting has worked in my life. Way before I could even articulate what manifesting was. I was buying the dream home that I dreamt of buying, let alone building it. I was driving the luxury cars that I'd had on my screen and only could have dreamt of driving 100 years from there, but I drove them off the showroom. Fresh orders. These may be materialistic things, but understand, even the non-materialistic things are at your fingertips and at your grips. Whatever you want, you create your life and you create your reality. Simple, basic law of attraction. I love you all so much, and I thank you so much for tuning in.